Hey everyone, welcome back to Power Word Talk, the podcast where we talk about anything nerdy. I'm your host Tanner, and this is my co-host Casey.
So
that's perfect. Today we are talking about Ashes of Creation Secondary Archetypes again. This time we are running through the tank classes. So we have Knight, Guardian, Nightshield, Warden, Spellshield, Keeper, Paladin, and Argent. They're all very different, obviously, by having the different archetypes. And the first one we will get into is the Knight. So as far as a Knight goes, I actually don't have my notes here. There we go. Yeah, as far as how a Knight will play, you're talking a tank fighter. I think, personally, it will be like Scourge the Executioner from, Thor, Ragnarok. I think it'll be, they are considering hammers and such for the game. I think that'd be really cool, a big two-handed hammer. I just imagine you'll be swinging around like big two-handed swords or like great swords, anything like that, with heavy armor, just really close combat, taking a lot of damage, but at the same time dealing it with a big two-handed weapon. That's kind of how I see it playing out.
Yeah, I can see that. That'd be what I think a Knight would be as well.
Yeah, like it's kind of hard to find key figures for anything like this, just because it's kind of basic, and it's also kind of they all kind of end up looking the same in any video games or any media. Like there's, I don't know how much there is to say, right? You're going to be taking like a lot of damage. You're going to be most likely a close range fighter, but you'll have a lot of damage mitigation, and you'll be on the front lines.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there's yeah.
I was thinking like I don't know if you've ever seen like fan art. Are you familiar with Game of Thrones?
Of course.
So Robert
Not season 9 though.
Yeah. Okay. Robert Baratheon, I think, would make like a pretty good Knight. If you look at like a fan art of like what he would have looked like in his prime, like he tells stories about how he's like crushing people with his hammer and stuff. And...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so that one with the horns on the helmet, like
yeah.
if you try and like look up the full
I think
image
I found
of that.
it. Oh, the full image. Okay.
Yeah, there's like a full body.
Oh,
yeah,
I see it. Yeah.
Like that's kind of like what I'm thinking of, like when I think of a Knight, just
that
Robert Baratheon.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to tank, but at the same time, you really want to kill people.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, so I think you'll be like so you'll be a tank, and you're probably focused a little bit less on blocking things with a shield and a little bit more killing people before they kill you.
I wasn't even sharing my screen, but yes, Scourge the Executioner here. I'll just edit something. I'll figure something out. I'll just put images in, but yeah, Scourge the Executioner, and then let me look that up again. Dude, this coffee.
Roberta.
This coffee does not help Robert. Me. Coffee just makes me like so like anxious, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think this works like super well.
Yeah.
The hammer, and then you have Scourge the Executioner. He was the only person I could think of where it's just kind of like they go crazy, heavy armor, but they're also like, yeah, they're kind of a berserker in a way.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So the next one, we have a Guardian. I couldn't think of a key figurehead for this one because I mean, like, it's a Guardian. It's just another heavy armor. I'm imagining like sword and shield. This is like your tank.
Yeah, like I'd have to go into like Fire Emblem to look for an example where you have those characters that are just like, they're basically like your tank, like your quintessential tanks. Just big shields, not focused so much on their weapons, but more like on their defense.
So I was thinking too. I don't know if you can wield 2 shields at a time, but I think that would be super cool. Almost where you can just like wield them as like weapons, but
that'd be dumb.
Now, come on, you just like lay them both down, and you're like, I thought that would be kind of cool if you at least had the option to do it. But that's in my mind, like you're the most heavily fortified thing in the battle.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, but I wouldn't put it in a video game.
Oh man, come on now. But yeah, I don't see much differences than like the knight, other than probably a little less damage, but at the same time just tankier, take less damage, have more health, that kind of thing. Yeah, so next one is a very okay, that's not what I wanted. Let's undo that. Oh, okay. It likes to select many things when I select it. The Nightshield. This one I think is like very unique. I don't know how it will play at all. You're a tank, but you're a rogue. It seems kind of counterproductive.
Yeah, I think this would be less about the stealth abilities of the rogue and more about the shadow magic abilities of the rogue, if I had to guess.
Probably, yeah. Maybe it adds evasion into your tanking.
Maybe like some illusion magic, maybe.
Oh, so maybe or even just like a puff of smoke, right? Where it blinds all the enemies inside.
Yeah, like rogue tricks and stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. Shadow or Nightshield, which maybe it covered, your shield does get like covered in smoke, and it can blind enemies in front of you, or it can blur them.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It would add some mobility, I think, for sure, to the tank. It's just I'm kind of scared, like how effective would it be as a tank? Because if you're choosing the tank as your primary archetype, then like that's what you want to do, right? You want to go into a dungeon with other people and you want to tank. So I'm sure it adds some damage, but at the same time, I'm really curious to see if it would be more effective. As far as like maybe a fighter, like maybe rogue, even just it helps you stay on your enemies or pulls them towards you more. Like maybe as a fighter, it's about getting close and getting to the enemy, whereas maybe as a Nightshield with the rogue, it's about pulling them to you. Maybe like a shadow grip or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on in their lore, like how is what is shadow magic more offensive or is it more like trickery and illusion?
Utility based. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I it sounds cool, and I think it would look visually awesome if you have like just this like black smoke or something coming off of you as you use abilities.
Yeah,
I think that'd be awesome.
I think it'd be cool if you could make like duplicates of yourself, like make like shadow clones to like kind of help you tank or something.
A shadow clone jutsu.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of what the summoner's for, though. The keeper.
Yeah, I guess that would fall more in line with that for sure.
At least as far as like damage goes, but maybe you could make like shadow versions of yourself that are just because there will be action abilities, so maybe it like just creates just the physically, it just looks the same as you as you're fighting, but they don't actually do anything. It just maybe kind of confuses enemies as to which one to hit.
Yeah, like things that like duplicate your abilities.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, and it looks like you fighting, but maybe they don't even do damage.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So the next one is the Warden. I think I have a perfect example of this. We've talked about it before. I think you said this was your favorite one, your most anticipated class, by the sounds of it. So you're a tank first, you're a ranger second, which in our mind, the ranger won't necessarily make you long range, but it'll make you maybe close range to mid range, where maybe you can like throw vines at someone and root them or pull them towards you. It makes you more earthy. We think this will bring you like the ranger will bring you closer to a druid kind of feel. Yeah, I have a really good picture here, actually. I think it'll be very similar to the Oath of Ancients Paladin in Dungeons & Dragons 5e.
Yeah, that sounds right. Like a nature magic enhanced Paladin.
Yeah. Very one with nature. You maybe use roots and other kind of grassy things or natural effects to either, you put a bark skin on yourself to make you tougher. You root people to the ground. Maybe you pull them closer with vines, like a thorn whip type thing. Yeah, I think that one would just be see, the thing I love, I say everyone looks cool because they all have such different themes, right? You don't just have one tank, you have 8 different types of tank, right? And then when it comes down to it, there's no way that one will be, I would be very disappointed if one was leagues above the others, because they all seem amazing in different situations and what you want to use them for. Right? Like the different themes of having a Nightshield versus like maybe a more earthy, more natural Warden as a tank, they seem like completely different play styles. So I I think it's cool. And even just maybe the aesthetic of your character, right? Like you think that like your skills and everything, they just look so different. They give you your character a whole different vibe, which I kind of love it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to say about the Warden?
I don't know. Sounds pretty lit.
Pretty lit. Any abilities you're hoping for, or anything that you think would be enjoyable?
I just want to take a quick look at the Oath of the Ancients Paladin in
For
D&D.
ideas of what they have, right? I think they'll
Yeah.
definitely root enemies to the ground. I think that'll be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
A Thorn Whip might be cool. I think there'll definitely be like a bark skin that like just enhances your defense, where it covers yourself in like magic bark or whatever. But yeah, a Warden, because yeah, when I think Warden, you're jailing people, right? Like you are confining them, you're limiting their movement, heavy crowd control, heavy CC, to just stun them or impair them in some way. Even you maybe even blind them. You get like vines over their eyes or something like that. Maybe, which this might be cool, if you could use like poisonous gases or different types of gases to perhaps confuse them or make their vision blurry or something. I'm not sure all the complete like debuffs you have, but I think that would be really cool. Maybe you could have like mushrooms around you that allies can walk over and it heals them in a way. That would be pretty fun. Or hurts enemies or slows them.
So I'm looking at D&D just for inspiration of what the Warden could be. So the spells that get added to their spell list are like Ensnaring Strike. So that's when you like hit something with this ability, they get like rooted to the ground.
Yeah.
They get Misty Step, so they can teleport like a short distance.
Okay.
They get Moonbeam. So
interesting.
Kind of like if anybody doesn't know what Moonbeam is, it's visually like Moonfire from World of Warcraft, but it's like a constant beam. Maybe like I guess there's the ability Lunar Beam, so it'd be kind of like that, just a column of like blue moon energy just beaming down on people. That'd be, I don't know if that would go into Warden, but that'd be kind of cool. Plant growth, so it's causing like various plants around you to spread out of the ground and slow people down.
I think that's a big possibility. Perhaps like within 10 feet of you or something, all these like plants come out and just slow your enemies down, or even in like a certain direction. I think that's a big possibility.
I'm seeing a theme of like they have an aura and a spell that are focused around like dampening elemental magic.
That's actually, yeah.
So maybe the Warden might be like the anti-mage in a way.
Yeah, I could see that. Like
if they're
better against fire or lightning or anything.
Yeah, things like Ice Storm, Stone Skin, Commune with Nature, Tree Stride. I couldn't see Tree Stride making it in because that's where you like enter a tree and come out a different tree. That'd be cool, but I doubt that would ever be a thing. But yeah, so they're aura of warding, so they have an aura.
And I was kind of thinking like Ranger, I would imagine they could lay traps. So if you mix that with a tank, maybe they do become some kind of mushroom or plant, right? Where they just end up slowing enemies or buffing your allies or something. I think would be super cool if you could like have different plants that you could maybe sprout around you.
Yep. I could see there being like some self-healing in there, perhaps.
From the plant, the nature based.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think, that one, the more we talk about it, the more I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It appears it would be very versatile. This next one, though, might be my personal favorite of all the tanks. The Spellshield. I mean, I don't think I have a picture for them. I do not. I think Spellshield will just be awesome. You are a magical tank. Yeah, I think you're mainly fighting the playstyle. I think will be basically be a staff guardian from Guild Wars 2, where you're wielding a staff, and as you like use it, and maybe a staff and a shield if you can do that, and you're just putting bubbles around you, bubbles around allies. I think it'll be kind of like a discipline priest from World of Warcraft. I think you'll bubble allies to dampen
like tank form, I guess.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I can't. as far as spell shield, right? Like it's literally in the name. You're creating shields and bubbles. I think that'll all
Hmm.
be most of it. I think you're dampening damage, not just on yourself, but also on allies. And
Yeah.
maybe even reflecting damage back at enemies if you can place a wall or something. I think it'll be a
Hmm.
lot of that.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I definitely draw inspiration from the Guardian from Guild Wars 2 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what more they could like. Maybe they have spells that they cast that are kind of long range. Um, I just can't really picture it unless because the thing that kind of scares me is that you could have all these abilities be essentially the same throughout all the tank secondary archetypes, just reskinned, right? Which I'm scared of. I don't want that. I want them to have fundamentally different play styles and different effects. I don't want just like a snare on everyone where it just roots them to the ground or just stuns them to the ground or something like that. I don't want
Hmm.
abilities that just pull you towards them. Like roots can pull you, maybe a shadow will pull you, but maybe on this it's like some light can pull them towards you or something. I don't want just reskinned abilities. I really want like maybe the same core, but at the same time the different flavor on them that kind of change the play style.
I'm expecting like the tank abilities you get from the primary will be like pretty much the same no matter what
Yes.
secondary you take. I expect that the secondary will add like secondary effects to each of those abilities.
Yeah.
So
We don't know how
if you
much
have
it'll
like
change.
a shield block ability, like
Mm-hmm.
that might be your bark skin for the Warden, whereas that for the spell shield it might be the bubble.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's fair. As long as it changes the properties of it and the
I,
actual effects of it for each one, I'm
it
happy.
should, yeah.
Right? I don't
I
want
think
just a reskin.
I think there'll definitely be advantages and disadvantages to each
So
secondary.
I guess I should also say I want big enough changes where they do matter. I don't want like say you have a charge, right? Where you like charge to an enemy. I don't want it where like this one's just a charge that can go 10 feet longer. I want like a charge that adds a stun. I want a charge that maybe can maybe slow 3 enemies at once or something. I want it to like be different. I don't you know what I mean? I want big enough changes for each augment.
I want a charge that leaves a wall of fire in my wake.
Yeah. That would actually work so well for the spell shield
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
potentially.
I'm expecting their charge to be a blink or something.
Oh, that's true.
If
That's
they get a charge. I wonder if tank
yeah.
is going to be less I think fighter will be like the mobile fighter and tank will be the stationary one,
Tank needs
to be fair.
something though, right? To get to an enemy. If you get
I
knocked back
wonder
or something.
I wonder if they'll be more about bringing enemies to them rather than
That's
going to
fair.
the enemy.
That's
So, I
fair.
guess we'll see.
I just yeah, I can't it's hard to picture it, especially but yeah, I don't know. It
Yeah.
really comes down to it. But yeah, I just hope they make big enough changes that are impactful.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about the spell shield? I feel like that's pretty simple, but at the same time, I think it'll look visually amazing and be very effective if you're bubbling allies.
Yeah, I think if you look at our previous video about the fighter mage archetype, it's probably going to follow the similar theme. You'll be like a tank and you'll be using um, probably elemental magic to supplement your tanking abilities. So
Mm-hmm.
you can use like earth abilities to fortify yourself and fire abilities to spread damage to enemies
This
and
one
stuff.
might
So
dampen the elemental damage too.
it could,
In this
yeah, I
case,
could see
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Or even yeah, like reflecting damage. I think this if there's gonna be one, this will be the class where you can throw
Yeah.
up a wall and maybe it reflects range damage or something.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is another personal favorite of mine. Anything including summoner, I just love. The keeper. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory, right? You are a heavy armor, you're relatively slow, but maybe you summon shields to fight alongside you, or just you summon something that can help tank with you.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe is doing stuns or crowd control or knockdowns or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this one's just pretty simple. I couldn't think of obviously anyone that resembles this because
It's like so unique.
yeah, even
that
other
I can
games I don't
imagine.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I was curious if you look at the inverse, the summoner tank is a brood warden. So I wonder if it would be similar to that. Like
hmm.
instead of like I wonder if it's because we were speculating like the brood warden would be like insectoid type summons. Like
insect, or maybe even like reptilian.
yeah, anything that's like a hard outer shell that could take
Yeah.
damage. That's what I'm thinking, but yeah, and when I see keeper, it's like maybe you're a keeper of what, right? Maybe it's some kind
So
of
yeah, at the core,
critter.
you still need to be the powerful tank at the core,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
then maybe you summon like hounds or something that are helping to stun, right? Like, so I'm thinking that the summons in this case might not be, they're not focused on tanking. I think they're more so
Hmm.
focused on crowd control.
Yeah, like
Where
you are the tank, right?
exactly.
So
Whereas with the
yeah,
Brood Warden, I think those are focused on taking damage and taunting.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that's kind of how it seems to me. And keeper, I mean, immediately that came into my mind. You're holding back like hounds, like hellhounds with chains, and then
Yeah,
you release them onto somebody, right?
yeah, I could see that.
So I think that could be pretty cool. As far as augmenting already their tank abilities, like, so in my mind, the normal tank abilities will be pretty basic, right? Like, we'll have seen them before. They'll be in other MMOs, like a shield block or a shield bash, right?
Hmm.
I think there'll be stuff like that. So then, as far as how that augments it, maybe it like summons even like just like they don't even have to be full creatures, right? They can be almost like illusions that come out and just nip at like the enemy's feet and slows them or something.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, almost more like just kind of ghosts or something spectral. That could be a possibility.
Hmm. I wonder. I know that Naruto character that has insects. He's not really a tank, but like it'd be interesting
Mm,
if like the keeper, like for his shield block, summons like a swarm of insects to form a shell around him
I bet you that
or
might be the
something like that.
warden. I think that would be super cool. The warden to
Well,
like
yeah,
call
yeah,
on
okay,
bugs.
yeah, I could see the warden doing that.
That would be awesome to blind somebody. Just a swarm of like locusts or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But yeah, summon. Yeah, but then also, I guess in my mind, a summon is kind of more permanent, semi-permanent, instead of just a
Hmm.
temporary summon. Like maybe the rogue's Nightshield, that might be more of a temporary. You call and a ghost or something, right? But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see how all these play out because, like I said, they all seem like they'll be so different, and I really hope that they're different enough.
Hmm.
As far as that one goes, we're just on the Paladin. How much is there to say about this? I
Right,
mean,
it's just
it's like any paladin from World of Warcraft. You have heals, you have your tanking taunts. You're pretty much an all around, like you're all around just solid in every situation.
yeah.
In
I could
PvP,
see
you'll be great. PvE, what were you gonna say?
I could see a lot of paladins being played in Ashes of Creation. Like if you're going tank, I see most people choosing Knight, Guardian, and Paladin.
I think
Just
so
because
too.
it's like it's the devil that we know, right?
And they're just in my mind. They're so tanky
Hmm.
because you're taking damage, but then you're healing it as a paladin, and then as a guardian, you're literally just like apparently unkillable. And then the tank knight or the knight with the tank fighter is like, come on, it's just like those just seem great in PvP, PvE, super
Yep.
versatile. Um, but yeah, the paladin I think is just, I think it'll be very same. You're using holy energy to heal and buff, and maybe some mid range. Um, yeah, I don't know how much more there is to say about that guy.
Yeah.
And
I think
now,
we all know paladins.
yeah, the Argent. Like, how? I don't understand this one. Because
Hmm.
as a bard, you play instruments. That is what you do.
Hmm.
So you take a tank and supplement it with drums, or like I don't know. Um,
um, Maybe you're taking on more of like the there's certain types of characters like in World of Warcraft, for example, they're like all about their shout abilities. Like
okay,
um,
to
so
rally
when it,
allies, you're shouting and stuff, or to
yeah,
demoralize enemies.
so I'm kind of like probably
Mm,
stretching here, but Argent is yeah, that means silver, right? And
okay.
so I think like, oh, like a silver tongued tank. So maybe somebody like when they use their taunt ability, it adds like some kind of
Hmm.
um bardic enhancement to it. maybe you can convince them to, you know, pause for a few seconds
Mm-hmm.
before they start beating on you. I don't know. It could be flavored something like
And
that, where you're more inspiring to your allies.
uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
because bards by nature they give buffs. They're more utility based. They maybe
Hmm.
have a bit of healing, but they have like damage mitigation, maybe buff you to do more damage, or you're resistant to certain types of damage. That is definitely what a bard does.
Hmm.
Um, so that's another one actually. When you think about it, if you're doing large scale PvP, come on, like you are at the center of the fight, buffing all your allies. Um, and that may be, even as far as like large scale PvP goes, I think that would be more useful than any of the other classes or any of the other, yeah, because sure, maybe as a spell shield, let's say you're bubbling other allies, I think that's great. But if you can buff all of your allies and potentially just do damage, kind of do everything to a
Hmm.
mass amount of your allies while you're in the middle of it, I think that would be just super hard to kill.
Yeah.
Super annoying. Um, as far as how it's skinned and the flavor, I don't know how that'll work. I don't
Yeah.
like bards. I think of like happy go lucky, or like you're singing, you're dancing, right? But then you're a tank.
I could see this being like the inspiring leader archetype, like the one that's, yelling all the commands and giving everybody the pep talk before battle to
Okay.
try your hardest. So it's not so much like a tank that's running around with a didgeridoo. It's more um maybe singing songs if anything, but it's probably more about like the inspiring words of encouragement.
You know what?
That would be my guess.
I think drums might be like their instrument, where like you hear these loud like battle drums, like if you're trying to inspire people, you hear these like loud, deep like drum, just bam, 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 while like the ability is going off, and maybe you see like sound waves pulsing through as they like buff you.
Yeah,
I think
that'd
that
be
could be
cool.
super cool.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, that's all for all of those. The tank one I find is the probably the most boring or hard one to, as far as secondary archetypes go, is to describe or to picture, because everyone
Mhm.
kind of knows what a tank does. They're pretty lackluster, but at the same time they're so core and so important.
I just
Um,
think we're so used to considering fighter and tank to be like the same class. So
yeah,
when they've made that distinction that the two things are separate, it's like, oh, okay. So
it
like I think looking to secondary archetypes helps us kind of see why they did that.
mhm.
But yeah, it's interesting.
I do, although so like I said, tank normally is very lackluster, but considering all the secondary archetypes, it can clearly add so much flavor. Like so much,
Hmm.
I think it can pull a lot of people to the tank class, because in other MMOs that's how it is. They're more boring. Like honestly, right? You have your role and you just do it. You're not very versatile.
Hmm.
Um, but in this case, clearly, you can pretty much have a secondary archetype for any situation,
Yeah.
or any flavor, any playstyle.
Hmm. Yeah, I think in general, like if you imagine a character that you want to play that's like just totally kitted out in like the heaviest of heavy armor with like the big shield or big sword,
Yeah,
and you're just taking on like 10 things. They're just beating on you while you're shouting commands and stuff. Like that's probably the base class you want to go with is the tank.
yeah,
Whereas the fighter might be more of like the scrapper type, a
yeah.
little bit less heavy armor,
A little more
um,
dexterous.
a little bit more dexterous, yeah. But tank is just pure like juggernaut, whether it's whether it's summoning things or being a paladin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of mobility inherently with the tank, but
Hmm.
it's like standing there and never dying. That is kind
Hmm.
of the point, right? And but I remember you mentioned why you like tanks so much is because if you have a good tank, you can pull through like anything, any situation. Whereas if you have, even if you have a bad healer, right? You can just like as long as you are good enough on your own merit, you can pretty much come through any situation, which is the kind of class that a tank should be.
Yeah, I was also saying that tanks are like pace setters. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're going through a dungeon, you can only go as fast as the tank goes.
Yeah, it's
So
so as long as you have a good tank, you can have like an amazing group. Because if you have a bad tank, it's just gonna fall apart.
yeah, for sure.
So it's
Like,
definitely one of those more skillful classes.
yeah, and there's a balance there. Like having a great tank is great, but if you have really bad heals and really bad DPS, it's like, okay, there's only so much a tank can
Well,
do.
I'm just thinking if you have a bad tank but then a great healer, like they're still gonna be aggro everywhere. They're gonna be attacking all the enemies and they'll be dying,
Yeah.
right? Whereas
Yeah.
at least if you have a good tank, it centers and focuses and pulls all the enemies to one area, and they can crowd control it and really focus the fight and point it where they need to point it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
like, even if you have a good DPS character, who cares? It doesn't help, right? If you have a bad tank and a bad healer, you can do all the damage in the world. It probably won't matter nearly as much as just having a good tank. That's like the most important role.
Yeah.
So you can even have a subpar healer. It's really not hard usually, right? To just like tab target over, just click some AoE heal. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything you want to say about Ashes Creation or the classes or anything? Because that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward.
You know, I feel like a lot of people aren't going to choose tank, and I think that's a shame. Because I think a lot of people get this in their head that like being a tank is like really hard and there's like a lot of responsibility, but it's like yeah, there's like more than like DPS for sure, but it's like it's a good way to challenge yourself. I know some people are afraid to lead, but I don't know, just take a chance on it.
If I'm being honest, thinking about this now, I'm one of those people that always shies away from tank. I prefer healing more, generally, because I just remember in like World of Warcraft going through dungeons, you have a tank that pulls the whole dungeon, and you're going off on your heals. You're keeping everyone up. It feels great, right? But the more I think about it, I think the secondary archetypes add enough flavor and enough flair to the tank primary that I'm actually kind of interested in playing it myself.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it's just a boring sit there and tank, I don't really like that. But a Nightshield kind of sounds really fun to me. Because like I said, I really like PvP. I'm like, I love PvE too, but PvP is kind of where my heart's at. And a Nightshield sounds really cool for PvP. It makes the tank more useful outside of PvE. Because in PvP, generally, they're not useful. They just do no damage and they're slow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that sounds really fun. Maybe I will play one, because I think I had in my top picks, I had for number one, yeah, it was the Shadowmancer. So because I just like rogue too. I don't like rogue primary, but I really like rogue secondary stuff. Any shadowy or kind of mobile, just more versatile in that sense, I think is really cool. So I had Shadowmancer, and I think I had Enchanter, which the Bard is really cool. And then I think I had I don't remember. Was it Shadowcaster?
Oh, maybe it was another summoner one.
I think it was a mage rogue. Potentially. I think that's kind of what it was.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, but now that I'm thinking about it, I would probably keep Shadowmancer near the top, or like I really like Warlock is really cool. Warlock, Necromancer, those are all really cool. You're summoning these really cool monsters. But Shadow Guardian actually kind of sounds amazing. Nightshield kind of sounds amazing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would want to play that too. And like I said, it really depends on once we see it and how they actually play. Like maybe Warden won't be very like earthy, grassy, like nature based. Maybe it won't be at all.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but yeah.
But as far as like the sound of a Nightshield goes, that sounds super cool. Like maybe you're just really staying on top of enemies while you like stun them or just annoy them while your allies take care of them. Could be awesome. Maybe I will try that. Cool. Okay. Anything else? I think we're all good here.
Yes.
That's good. Cool. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you tune in to the next one. We're going to keep pumping these videos out. Leave any feedback in the comment section. Positive, negative. We'd love to hear it. Any negative opinions just help grow it more. Any positive ones are just nice to see if you're enjoying it. And yeah.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
That's a good one. Anything else? Promote. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell for the notification, because it actually helps us a ton if we see the interaction, and the just the likes or comments help a lot. And subscribing, obviously, if you want to see more on Ashes of Creation, any more of our opinions, any more deep dives, we're going to do a Wikipedia series where we learn with you guys through the Wikipedia. We'll read through it and give our thoughts and opinions. So I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Cool. But like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Did I brainwash enough?
I think you need to say it at least 7 times.
Like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Hit the bell for the notifications, bell for the notifications. Cool. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Hope you
Good
enjoyed.
enough. Bye.